I'm Marty Blank. I'm the president of the Institute for Educational Leadership, and I cannot tell you how honored I am to be here today at the first annual Samuel Halperin Lecture and Public Service Award. I want to welcome all of you on behalf of Betsy Brand and her board and the American Youth Policy Forum, as well as the board and the staff of the Institute for Educational Leadership. As most of you know, Sam played a pivotal role in the life of both of these organizations, and so we thought it only appropriate for us to join our assets and resources and use them as efficiently as we could to honor the great work that he had done in his lifetime. I want to welcome all the friends of Sam who I see and have had a chance to say hello to, people who have worked with him over his long career. I want to welcome the fellows who are part of this 51st Washington Policy Seminar that is part of the Institute's Education Policy Fellowship Program. It's a wonderful convergence that we can have them here to honor someone like Sam. And of course, I want to welcome Sam's family, his son Elan and his Elan's wife Barbara, his daughter Dina, and her husband Bob Barlev. We are so pleased to be able to do this to honor the legacy of your dad, who was so important to many of us in the room and to the entire field.
And we continue to focus on vulnerable at-risk youth and to realize that many of the challenges that were identified in the Forgotten Half in 1993, unfortunately, are still with us today, while other demographic, cultural, and economic challenges have been added to that list. We continue to use evidence to inform policy and practice, but we pair the research and evidence with real-life stories and examples of innovative programs that are constantly seeking new and better ways to reach more of the forgotten half and help them succeed. Our study tours are still relevant, meaningful, informational, and wildly popular. I knew Sam for a long time, even before I came to AYPF, but his vision and his sense of working collaboratively across the aisle, across different perspectives with people, is what I've always tried to carry with me as I do my work. And he just was a genius about creating these formulas that work really well to bring diverse perspectives together and to really make a difference for young people.
Well, it is such an honor to be here. It's a little intimidating to be here with the people who are in this room, but the amazing thing is to be able to be part of honoring Sam. And what would delight him more than new generation people who are in the Education Fellowship Program at IEL, rising talent for the challenges ahead, coming together with his partners in this work over such a long period of time. So I see myself as just a vehicle sort of to get us started for what I hope will be interaction with each other informally and in this session. And I want to thank Betsy, my dear friend. And I think that for most of us in this room, this is really not a career, it's a calling. It is work that speaks to us deeply. It is work that where we have a lot more still to do. And I thought that what I would do is to sort of start us off by going back to that seminal piece of work, The Forgotten Half, and use it as a platform through which to reflect on three questions. The first is, how far have we come since 1988 when that report was published? The second is, what has changed since then? What did we not anticipate when that report was written? What do we know now that we didn't know then that can help us as we move forward? And that the final question, what does that suggest for how we best move forward? And who are the forgotten half? In non-statistical terms, they are the young people who build our homes, drive our buses, repair our automobiles, fix our televisions, maintain and serve our offices, schools, and hospitals, and keep the production lines of our mills and factories moving. To a great extent, they determine how well the American family, economy, and democracy function. And in fact, if you look at where we are today, we and young people have in fact lost ground. What we need is much more transformational change. And in fact, a movement, a social movement, much more comparable to what the civil rights movement was, to what the women's rights movement was in decades past. And so then you have to ask yourself the question, how do we get a movement? All young people need more constructive contact with adults who can help them guide their talents into useful and satisfying paths, opportunities to participate in community activities that they and adults value, especially giving service to others, special help with particularly difficult problems ranging from learning disabilities to substance addiction, and initial jobs, no matter how modest, that offer a path to accomplishment and to career opportunity. So I think as we spend the next hours together and as we all continue on in this work that we are called to do and that Sam must be watching to see how it's going on, where it's going to get to, we need to remember to challenge ourselves to work for transformational change, not transactional kinds of changes, and to take approaches to young people that see them as whole people, and always to remember the most vulnerable young people that Sam cared most about.
Thank you all for coming to this wonderful event. He would just have loved this, and I know a lot of you knew him personally, and he's here. He's here. I'll introduce myself again. I'm Dina Barlev, Sam's daughter, and this is my brother Ilan, and his wife Barbara, and my husband Bob King. And I represent also Sam's 5 fabulous grandchildren and his new great-grandson Samuel. So this entire event has brought together so many passionate, creative, committed, fierce people. You are his favorite kind of people. And to talk about the 2 things that really mattered to him professionally, education of our nation's most vulnerable youth, and public service as a means of strengthening our nation while we strengthen ourselves. And so on behalf of the family, I just want to thank everyone at IEL and AYPF, Marty and Betsy and Mike and Christine, who put together this event. So in our faith, there is a guiding ethic which grew increasingly meaningful to my dad at the end of his life. And this is known as tikkun olam, which means repair of the broken world. Like the sages, he believed that it is not your responsibility to finish the work of perfecting the world, but neither are you free to stop trying. In other words, the enormity of the task must not dissuade us from rolling up our sleeves and doing our part of the work. Efrem, your powerful essay embodies this ethic beautifully.
Education and public service have always been a big part of my upbringing. I was born and raised in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, a country where the culture took the Christian calling of loving one's neighbor as oneself to the heart, and public service was the very fabric of community bond. When I moved to America at the age of 12, my father, who could not come with us, made sure to emphasize the importance of education and why we should do our best to escape the harsh troubles of life. Of course, like most young people, I didn't understand why people made such a big deal out of education. Yes, learning new stuff every day seemed nice, but the bigger picture was missing in order to connect the smaller dots. While in high school, I was fortunate to join an Upward Bound program through the Latin America Youth Center, LAYC, in Washington, D.C., which literally helped me open my eyes to the possibilities of attaining a higher education. In addition, students like myself went on college tours and got a taste of college life by staying at the George Washington University campus for 3 weeks and commuting for another 3. Soon enough, I started to realize that college education was not only a dream, but also a reality I could strive for with the help of the various great mentors I had. I work with mostly English as second language ESL students in a 7th grade math class who often seem to care more about not scratching their Jordan shoes than understanding the importance of learning math. And it is not always because they are just being lazy or careless, but because they simply do not understand how to navigate the complexities of life within the environment they find themselves in, which can be difficult even for adults and immigrant parents, let alone at such a volatile age when everything is being discovered or amplified and affecting them in unfavorable ways. How do you help students overcome the fear and insecurity they have about a particular subject when they are being tested again before they had enough time to confidently demonstrate what they have learned instead of going through another dreadful experience? What do you say to a girl who just came from South America and is a great student, but is gradually being influenced to find more value in her beauty than in her work ethics and personal integrity? For the importance of igniting the curiosities of the young so they can pursue a world of dreams and hope rather than live out a life of fear and mediocrity remains the single most driving force for my passion, fueling my desire to pursue a career in teaching and youth development work. I believe once a soul catches fire, it will take a lot to put it out, but it takes care, patience, and love to ignite one. In today's modern world, the wisdom of a remote village may not seem applicable, but an action of love is recognized by anyone, anywhere. When I look at life from the grand scheme of the universe, I no longer pessimistically say what we do on this small planet does not matter. I now know it does because of love. And in all this, the only success story is being fortunate enough to be a part of the experience. The social and moral fabric of our society may be deteriorating, but the values that kept communities intact for centuries amid great adversities will continue to work today if our work stems from a place of love, because everyone needs forgiveness and a love that never fails, which rubs out our weakness and mistakes instead of rubbing them in and holding us hostage. In the end, love is all that matters, and the only force capable of transforming lives into something better. Thank you.